Greetings, YouTube. As you are aware, the conservative right fought healthcare reform tooth and nail. Right up into the last moment, they did everything in their power to support the absolute monopoly of private insurers in this country to dictate what kind of healthcare American citizens can receive. And once that was defeated, even though it was a lame duck bill, became law, they have taken up that law itself to fight abortion. An obscure part of the law allows states to restrict abortion coverage by private plans operating in new insurance markets. Capitalizing on that language, abortion foes have succeeded in passing bans that, in some cases, go beyond federal statutes. This has happened so far in Florida, Mississippi, and Missouri, and Louisiana, Ohio, and Oklahoma are all considering following suit. Now, in all three of the cases where these bans have been enacted, abortions in the case of rape, incest, or risk of the woman being killed due to medical complications are allowed. These are exemptions. So these aren't actually bans against abortion. They're against certain kinds of abortion. And the kinds of abortion that these bans are against are elective abortions. Abortions that are involved the choice of the woman carrying the fetus. So these bans aren't really about abortion at all. These bans are about choice. They are opposed to choice. They are opposed to women's reproductive choice. They are opposed to women engaging in activities that might lead to an unintended pregnancy. They are, in short, opposed to women having control of their own bodies and sexuality. Because these bans aren't about abortions, folks. If they were about abortions, then they would be against all abortions. They're about being opposed to women and their sex. Women having the right to decide for themselves whether they will or will not engage in sex, whether or not they are in or not in a marriage. Now, it doesn't seem to occur to anyone who's an abortion opponent that a woman could be married and still want an abortion. The illogical assumption is that if you're married and get pregnant, you'll just have the kid. And if you're out of marriage and you get pregnant, you obviously became pregnant because you are an evil sinner. And thusly, you should be punished by having to have a child that you don't want. Hence the ban only on elective abortions. Once again, we are showing our Puritan past proudly. I will be so happy someday when we move past the Puritan shackles that are still fettering us in this nation. Because this is all about women's reproductive rights. You'll note that there's no bans anywhere in America about men's reproductive rights. Men can have as many kids as they want. They can have not any kids. No one cares. They can use condoms. No one questions it. They can have vasectomies, so they never have to worry about children again. And no one ever questions it. What would happen if a ban were made to prevent men from having vasectomies? Just maybe might that not pass? And yet bans that are about controlling the reproductive rights of women seem to have no difficulty passing. It's almost as if the people opposed to this are men. Men voting on an issue that really has absolutely nothing to do with their bodies. As soon as a man can have a pregnancy, he gets to have a profound opinion about abortions. Until then, he's not carrying the fetus. He does not get to say. And I've seen cases where courts have said that a man gets to say, and I've opposed every single one of those cases. It's not his body. I'm sorry that sometimes women want to abort fetuses that the father doesn't want to see aborted. Until certain you can remove that fetus from the woman and put it into the man who wants it, it's not your decision, it's hers. And these bans are all about taking away choice, taking away options from women. about imperiling their reproductive health, because that's what they're doing. So I see these bans. I don't see anyone trying to stop abortions. I see someone trying to stop women from engaging in sex that those opposers also don't agree with. Now, along with these bans, I'm just curious. Are they also making sure that every single student in America has comprehensive, mandatory sex education and free access to as much birth control as they can possibly want? I bet they aren't. And one more time, I'm going to ask, why is the Tea Party not up in arms about these bans? Because they were just thrilled with the concept that the Obama administration was going to impose healthcare regulations upon the American citizens, which has never been part of the healthcare reform, isn't now, and never will be. However, this right here, these bans, this is government control of your body. But of course, it's the women's bodies. So maybe that doesn't count. Maybe it's only going to upset the Tea Party when it's the liberal, progressive politicians making changes that they just assume are going to be about them. And in actuality, those changes had nothing to do with them. When it's the conservative right making changes that actually affect American citizens, suddenly the Tea Party grows silent. I wonder why. So, I'll say it one more time because I'm going to make sure that everybody hears it. These bans are not about stopping abortions, folks. These bans are about punishing women who engage in sexual activity that the moral minority out there, about the conservative right, thinks they shouldn't engage in.